I poll you guys on what training routine you use. To my surprise, a large proportion of you are using routines that may be harming your muscle growth. Throughout the past decade, I've experimented with many routines, coached clients with many routines, and performed plenty of research in exercise science. So I decided to make this video. At the end of the video, I'll reveal the best routines, based on how many days you can make to the gym each week. To be honest, some of my picks will surprise you. I'll be ranking training routines based on 3 criteria. First, based on the scientific research, will this routine maximize muscle growth in most people? Second, and this one's subjective, is this training routine fun and enjoyable to use for most people? Third, are each of the workouts within the routine challenging yet feasible? With that out of the way, let's start with the bro split. In the bro split, you usually train 5 to 7 days a week and assign a muscle group to each day. Monday is chest day. Tuesday is back, Wednesday is shoulders, Thursday is legs, and Friday is arms. Incidentally, arms just happen to be trained on International Clubbing Day. You can see where the routine gets its name from. As the name implies, this routine is heavily biased towards the upper body. Out of 5 training days, 4 are dedicated to the upper body training, and only 1 towards the legs. That also makes it a pretty fun routine for most guys. Getting a juicy pump is a meme in beginner circles for a reason. Few things are as fun as demolishing a muscle group. That is, unless you're talking about your legs. The flip side of spending most of your week training upper body is that when it comes time to hit legs on a single day, that will be carnage. Cue a clip of Mike Isotal throwing up and doing leg curls. That's not to say it can't be done, but I've noticed that most advanced lifters eventually switch to a routine that allows them to train their legs twice a week and spread out their leg volume a bit more. It's much easier to get in your volume for legs across several days. That notwithstanding, the bro split is a pretty fun routine, especially if you skip the leg day. When it comes to the third criterion, unfortunately, most of the workouts are on the easy side. Even if you really push, training arms only gets so hard. On the contrary, the leg day is too challenging, and may even be hard to do for advanced lifters. So this routine scores pretty poorly on this criterion. Finally, will the bro split maximize progress for most lifters? Probably not. A group of researchers from Florida recently preprinted a meta-analysis on training frequency and muscle growth. They found that while training frequency didn't play a big role for muscle hypertrophy, the effect did lean in favor of higher frequencies. The effect was slightly larger when going from training a muscle once a week to twice a week. The bro split, unfortunately, has you training many major muscle groups only once a week, which reduces muscle growth. The final issue with the bro split is that it forces you into training 5 days a week. This can be difficult to achieve, especially if you have a life outside of the gym. Overall, the bro split goes into C tier. It's fun, but not ideal for progress. Next, we have the full body split. Where the bro split is a neatly defined routine, the full body split is the opposite. When someone asks you what you're training today, you reply, everything. But usually, you don't actually mean everything. You're training some of your upper body and some of your lower body on the same day. With a lack of constraints, you can tailor each workout to be challenging yet feasible. If a workout is too hard, you can move one of the leg exercises to another day and replace it with an upper body exercise. If it's too easy, you can simply add more leg training. Full body routines facilitate challenging yet feasible workouts. For the question of fun, things get more subjective. On the one hand, you're missing out on the fun of having one muscle group get mega pumped. On the other hand, if there's a muscle group you really hate training, you can avoid having that one dreaded day in your routine where you train exclusively that muscle. Likewise though, if there's a muscle you love training, you now get to train it during every workout. On the whole, the full body routine can be fun, but probably not quite as fun for most people as the bro split. What about effectiveness? There's one downside, but a lot of cool upsides I'll get to in a second. The downside is that full body routines are actually hard to program. It's deceptively easy to crank up the volume on certain muscle groups while leaving other ones entirely neglected. Likewise, how you program bent over rows, hip hinges, or squats on consecutive days needs to be deliberated carefully. Count your weekly volume and program accordingly. However, full body routines allow nearly everyone to train a muscle twice a week. All you need is 2 workouts per week. So they're highly effective. If you're training with higher volumes or you're specializing, full body routines may become even more effective. Let's go back to the meta-analysis I mentioned earlier. When I spoke to the authors, they mentioned they were working on a new meta-analysis, this time on per session volume and hypertrophy. And based on the results, there might be a benefit to higher frequencies when volume is also high, say about 15 to 25 sets, because it allows you to take high volumes and spread them out across the week. In those cases, training a muscle twice a week or more might become more beneficial. So if you're really trying to bring up a muscle group by blasting it with higher volumes, or if you're training with higher volumes more generally, full body routines might cause more muscle growth by allowing you to titrate that volume more effectively across the week. On the effectiveness front, full body routines are S tier. Overall, full body routines go into the low S tier belt. Moving on to the upper-lower split. This routine does a good job of distributing training across days, keeping each workout the perfect challenge. Since there's more muscle groups in the upper body you have to worry about, upper body days tend to have more exercises, but each exercise is easier. Whereas lower body days tend to have fewer exercises, but each exercise is harder. A well-balanced routine. You can easily tailor the upper-lower routine to emphasize your legs or upper body too. Want to bring up your upper body? Simply do upper, lower, upper for a total of 3 upper body days and 2 lower body days. Unlike bro splits, upper body splits also only require you to train 4 days a week, to train each muscle twice a week. For many people, upper-lower splits will achieve this. Regarding fun, the upper-lower routine strikes a good balance. Upper body days are fun and allow you to get a juicy upper body pump on. Lower body days are grueling but manageable, since you spread things out a bit. An underrated aspect of upper-lower routines is to facilitate the use of antagonist paired supersets, where you superset a push and a pull movement, a bicep and a tricep movement, or even a leg curl and a leg extension. By training opposing muscle groups as a superset, 4 studies have suggested that you can shave 50% of time off your workouts while seeing the same muscle growth. Overall, the upper-lower split is the jack of all trades of training splits. It will work in a variety of contexts pretty well. Into high A tier it goes. Next, we have the push-pull legs routine. According to my questionnaire, 38% of you still use this routine. However, when interviewing me, Renaissance Periodization infamously declared the push-pull legs routine dead. Is that really true? Let's break things down. In terms of fun, I'm inclined to think most lifters enjoy this routine. When I ask the average, semi-serious man lifter in the gym what routine they follow, they almost invariably say push-pull legs. And this routine does bias the upper body slightly more than an upper-lower routine. Instead of a 1-to-1 ratio, you get a 2-to-1 ratio. The routine also allows you to get a solid pump in the muscle group you're training. Push-pull legs ranks pretty well in terms of fun, though the leg day remains challenging. Likewise, pull days tend to be just a bit more fatiguing than push days, whereas push days are usually a cakewalk. So while push-pull legs is pretty fun, it doesn't do too well in terms of each workout being challenging yet feasible. The leg day is an odyssey, the pull day is adequate, and the push day usually too easy. Now, we come to effectiveness. In case you didn't watch it, in the RP collab, I made the point that for push-pull legs to maximize growth, you would need to train 6 days a week always, since that would result in you training each muscle at least twice a week. But for many, getting to the gym 6 days a week is a struggle. So instead of opting for a push-pull leg split and failing to achieve it most weeks, they would be better off opting for a full body split and training each muscle at least twice a week anyways. The other issue with push-pull legs, in terms of effectiveness, is when specializing. If you're specializing on legs, for example, leg days become abhorrently difficult. And even if you're specializing on the upper body, you'd likely see more muscle growth if you just train your upper body a bit more frequently than the routine allows you to. A push-pull legs routine pigeonholes you into training each muscle twice a week. For those reasons, the push-pull legs routine goes into mid-B tier. It's not terrible, it can work under the right circumstances, but it's a situational routine at best. Now that we've covered the big 4 routines, we'll get into some of the routines you commented about. After all, many of you said you don't follow these big 4 routines. And well, there's actually some solid routines in there. The push-pull split involves you training your push musculature one day, your pull musculature the next. You could go, actually, muscles on push-pull, they contract. But lighten up. We're literally discussing a glorified training calendar. Just like an upper-lower, you can hit a twice a week frequency with just 4 days a week. People who like the push-pull split seem to really like it fun-wise. Regarding workout difficulty, this routine actually strikes a great balance. Since you train quads on push days and hamstrings on pull days, it evens the scales nicely. But you do need to be slightly mindful of lower back recovery as a result. Push-pull goes into high A tier too. The Arnold split takes the bro split and improves on it in some regards. It keeps all the fun of demolishing 1 or 2 muscles at once, but bumps up the frequency for every muscle to at least twice a week, including the legs. The routine still keeps an emphasis on the bro muscles, the arms and the shoulders. But just like the push-pull legs routine, this routine requires you to train 6 days a week. Definitely an improvement over the bro split overall. Additionally, in contrast to push-pull legs routine, this split facilitates the use of antagonist paired supersets, making it a solid option for time-constrained lifters. Low ATIV, but only if you make it to the gym 6 days a week. The final category of routines I wanted to cover are combination routines. These routines effectively combine different routines to improve upon them in some regard. One of my most programmed routines for clients who have 5 days a week to train is push-pull legs upper-lower. Many lifters enjoy the push-pull legs routine but can't necessarily train 6 days a week. Combining these two routines allows you to train 5 days a week, still train each muscle twice a week, and emphasize the upper body slightly. Into low ATIV, that routine goes. If you only have 3 or 4 days a week to train but are sick of just doing full body week in, week out, the full body upper-lower split, for example, can be a nice change of pace. Not only does every workout change things up, if you have 3 days a week to train or more, you're hitting every muscle twice a week. If you have 4 days a week instead, add an extra full body day into the mix. Into high ATIV it goes. If you train 5 or 6 days a week, you can try doing an upper-lower twice a week and adding in a 5th and a 6th day for weak points. This lets you train each major muscle twice a week, whilst also ramping up volume and frequency for muscles you're trying to improve on. Alternatively, if you train 4 days a week, you can try a full body routine 2 days a week, and finally, for the remaining 2 days, you can do weak point days as well. Accomplishes the same thing. I'd only really recommend this approach if there are muscles you want to bring up. After all, you're trading off some low-hanging fruit for some muscles for high-hanging fruit for other muscles. Into high ATIV, this routine goes. As promised, here are the best routines based on how many days you can train. If you can only train 1 to 3 days a week, the full body routine might be your best bet. It will let you get an effective frequency for all major muscles. For an enjoyable alternative, if you're training 3 days a week for a change, you can try a full body and upper-lower or push-pull hybrid. If you can train 4 or 5 days a week, upper-lower routines tend to be your best bet. You can also experiment with weak point days combined with either an upper-lower or a full body routine. If you are training 6 days a week consistently, you get a bit more flexibility, and in this case, the push-pull legs routine actually becomes viable. You can also do an upper-lower split, potentially with 1 or 2 weak point days. For a fun alternative, you can try the Arnold split, which I think is underrated. Finally, if you train every day, you get the profit split. When she asks you what your favorite position is, you say CEO. All jokes aside, an upper-lower split with weak point days is great. You can also use a push-pull leg split with an extra weak point day, or an Arnold split with a weak point day. Finally, if you're specializing on a muscle, the full body routine is the best bet for you, no matter how many days a week you train. This routine lets you spread out the volume optimally for that muscle.